go in the world, food is at the heart of every culture, every city. But what turns it from being essential into something exquisite? And who are the maestros making those meals? Join me as I speak to the gods of gastronomy as First Class goes gourmet. It's the butt of all food jokes. But somehow, British chefs making British food have captured the world's attention. Heston, Gordon, they're household names. And not only are they chefs of the highest caliber who hone and perfect their craft, but they are also a brand, a business in their own right as well. And yet, there are only 4 restaurants in Britain that have 3 stars. But one of them is shutting its doors for renovations. The Fat Duck put Blumenthal on the map, and now it's heading down under to Melbourne. Because while the doors are shut at home, they are opening in Australia.
Well, I mean, the initial idea was to pick the Fat Duck up, to pick it up, kit all the team, bring it over here, because some chefs have done pop-ups before, but they'll occupy somebody else's space and they won't quite have the same kit and the staff, etc., etc. And they can be good experiences, but they're normally a slightly poor version of where the main restaurant is. We wanted this to be as good. In fact, my aim is just to move it up a little notch by tweaking some of the dishes. However, it's still the Fat Duck.
The restaurant will only be open for 6 months, and that means there is a limited number of seats. A lottery system has been set up, so tables can be reserved equitably. The meal has the honor of being the most expensive in the entire country. And that fervor for food is the exact reason Blumenthal chose Australia above all others.
So the first choice, the most obvious choice, was New York. And we were with the Mandarin, we looked at Mandarin New York, and the problem they got over there is if you're affiliated to the unions, which most hotels are, it's a nightmare. So two of my close friends in the business over in the States have got to the sort of top restaurants, and they said, if you can't get out of the unions, don't touch it with a barge pole, and we couldn't. So at that time, everything in Australia for me was starting to sort of explode. I've been coming to Australia since about 2002, 2003, every 2 years to do a charity dinner with a good friend of mine who's got a restaurant here, Neil Perry. And then from about 5 years ago, things sort of activities here started to pick up, and I think I did the second series of Australian MasterChef. So that series just exploded. I think it became the most successful TV show in the history of Australian TV. More viewing figures than anything other than a sporting event.
That's right.
So I've done MasterChef for the 5 of the 6 series. In the last couple of years, I've taken the show over for a week. I've had a Heston week. And my shows that been making in the UK have been sold over here and done really well. Over here, however, everyone's gone food mad.
So what do you say to those people that want a seat at the Fat Duck, but they can't get one?
Sorry. That was a little bit of a headache. And then there was how are we going to deal with, how are we going to make this as fair as possible? And when I made the announcement in March, I think we said, look, we're not even opening the reservation book yet till at least September. But Crown had about 40,000 people apply then. So if you did first come, first serve, we would have done it from that. So we thought the best way to do this was just to have this ballot system, 2 weeks, online. Everyone applies, and then hand it over to a third party. But after I did the announcement, well, we announced the ballot, a journalist said to me, this is not very inclusive, why don't you should be feeding 1,000 people? I said, well, if you feed 1,000 people, it won't be the Fat Duck. Yeah, there's a reason why we've got 45 chefs for 45 seats. That's what the amount of work that's involved to produce that menu.
How does it feel to serve the most expensive meal ever in Australia?
Oh, I hadn't thought about that, actually. Slightly pressurised now you've said it. I'll try and block that out of my mind in a funny way. And I know it sounds ridiculous. There'll be a lot of people listening to this thinking $525 before you've even paid for your wine. We thought long and hard about the price. Really did. You know, what are you going to charge? What are you going to charge for it? Now, if we were going to charge what was really required to charge to pay for this, it would be in the thousands. As it is, we're about £30, say $50, probably $50 more than the menu in Bray. That's it. But bear in mind, there's 60 odd staff being flown over, being accommodated for just over 6 months, all the equipment, building a restaurant. So we just thought we're going to have to sort of find a balance, and for charging the sort of $500+ that we're charging doesn't for 1 minute suggest that I'm kind of like swanning in to Melbourne and saying we're the best restaurant. We're not. It's just we had to look at this is you couldn't possibly price it less than what you're going to be paying in Bray. Plus we've got all the research that we've been doing for the menu to get up to scratch as well. I know what that menu costs to put together, and it's good value for money. It's super expensive, but it's good value for money.
But Australia isn't only getting its priciest meal, it's also getting the world's cheapest Michelin-starred restaurant. Hong Kong's Tim Ho Wan, with its 1 Michelin star and bite-sized dumplings, are set to open 3 eateries in Sydney this year. So if price isn't a factor when it comes to getting a Michelin star, then just what exactly does it take for a restaurant to be one of the world's best? And how do you decide which chef is number 1?